Hello. I hope everyone is doing well. I just want to start out this video by just telling God thank you so much that Chauvin was found guilty today. That I know has been weighing on a lot of us. And it's, one more step toward progress. So I'm just really grateful for that. But something has been weighing on my heart um, for the past few days, and I just wanted to share it here or record it. I'm gonna try not to do too many disclaimers, but sometimes for me, like I want to share things, but I'm afraid because I'm like, well, I'm not all dolled up and I'm not this and I'm not that, but I'm just going to share today. um, so the thing that's been on my heart, I've been thinking about um men a lot recently, like especially our brothers. When I say our brothers, I'm talking about men of color. And sometimes they might feel like we put a lot of pressure on them or expect them to be, quote unquote perfect, or we want them to you know, I guess basically just be perfect. Like we want them to be perfect. Sometimes they might feel that way. Or like I said, that we put a lot of pressure on them. But something that I'm seeing is that maybe if they were able to just take a step back and look at how important they are. And I think the reason why we put a lot of pressure on them is because we see their importance, especially in our communities. And so that's why we kind of put a lot of pressure on them, because we see, like, even from the system that we live in here in the United States, and even sadly other countries around the world, it just seems like um the family, like, it seems like, quote unquote, certain people want to destroy the family unit, especially the Black family unit. We see that with a lot of our men being incarcerated um, and killed. So we see that certain people understand the importance of a Black man and a Black man in a home, and they want to dismantle that. They want to take away from that structure because they know how once they get the Black man the head, it's so much easy for them to infiltrate and to destroy the rest of the family. So one thing that kind of stands out to me, and before I move on, I was listening to I believe it's called the Aware Show, and Lisa Nichols was just dropping some gems on there, and I'm just watching her, and I'm like, God, you have given this woman incredible amount of grace, like to be able to talk about these things that I know can be, triggering for her and even hard for her. But she's able to speak about them in such an eloquent way, but then still always turn to love and offering love. And I know for a lot of us, when we're hurting, we don't want to think about that. We don't want to think about the other as family or as part of a family unit, even though they're another color. But the fact of the matter is, um, the mindset that we are not, you know, all God's creation, is part of what is pushing this. Not to say that we shouldn't keep fighting, because this is a war and this has to end. But what I am saying is the fact that she's able to share so much love, I think, and to be so gracious in the way how she takes the time to explain. And I think people don't understand how tiring tiring and exhausting it can be for us to be able to share certain things again and again and again and again to explain our pain and to try to help other people understand. I think people don't understand how exhausting it can be for us. So for her to be able to do it in such a graceful way, I was just like, man, you know. And the other lady, Lisa, I can't remember her last name. I just love how she was just so, you know, open to learning and trying to understand and make a difference. And hopefully her and many others will be able to speak up when we're not in the room, because I think that's the real difference. Like we can all have, you know, white friends or whoever that, or even white family members, honestly, because we're all, you know, we're all intermarrying and everything. So that might, you know, love us in front of us, but what are they doing when we're not there? Are they speaking up for us when we're not there? And I think it's important for the other Lisa and so many other women and, you know, white men to be able to do that. So I think that was pretty cool. So that was just a tangent. Um, Going back to this topic of the importance of Black men, something that I see, and we've seen it throughout history, and I'm going to say this, but honestly, you don't really have to be a Christian to be able to see that, to be able to see and understand what I'm about to say. But we've seen in history, whether it's biblical history, American history, African history, you know, history of, you know, civilizations past, whatever, we've seen how men can fall because of their, because they fell to sexual desires, because they, you know, went along and were carried away by the lust of their flesh. I mean, like I said, you don't have to be a Christian to see that. We've seen that so many times over and over. So I think something that is so important and is really hard for men, but it's, or people, you know, have made it seem like it's something that's really hard for men and we kind of cover for them in a way. But I think when men can be able to control that part of them, wow, can you just imagine how crazy awesome the world would be if men could be able to control that part, if they would be able to come together instead of them, you know, belittling each other when it comes to, oh, you're still a virgin, or, you know, you didn't do this, or you didn't sleep with her, or whatever, what's wrong with you. Instead of them being doing that, but encouraging each other to be able to do other things, especially because, like I said, whether you're a Christian or not, if you're a single person, like you don't have kids yet, you're not married yet, there's so much that you can do. Okay? And you know, in the Bible, it basically talks about how the single people, they're able to like really work for God. Not to say that married people can't, but God understands the importance that if you're married, he wants you to be able to take care of your family. And so he's not going to like, you know, to an extent, not to say that he'll like push you away from your family to be able to do his work, but he understands that that is also part of your ministry, to minister to your family. So with all that being said, when you're single, you don't have certain responsibilities. You can get up and, you know, do whatever. You could travel, you could do missionary work, even if, like I said, even if you're not a believer, whatever you want to do, you could make a decision to, you know what, I'm going to start this business. You know what, you can, not to say that you can't start a business when you're married, but what I mean is you're able to, you know, be able to make sacrifices to do great things, because you don't have so many mouths to feed and things to think about, you know, and to consider the way how you would if you know, were married, or, you know, if you had a family. So I say all that to say that I think about some situations that we've seen where if men hadn't followed the lust of the flesh and took a minute and instead to, this might sound really funny, I know it could sound really funny and ridiculous, but the time that some people are taking to follow women, I'm talking to the men, right? The time that they're taking to follow women and follow the lust of their flesh, they could literally be working on making themselves better. They could be going to seminars, they could be going to workshops, they could be educating themselves, they could be reading, they could be working on their business, they could be growing their business, they could be, getting more fit, they could be doing so many different things. They could be mentoring young people. I mean, you just name it. They could be doing research. I mean, just so many things that people could be doing with that time that they are, quote unquote, easing their sexual desires. And unfortunately, a lot of men may be able to find themselves in situations with women that they, quote unquote, don't really want or isn't the perfect person for them. And they have a lot of complaints about the person. However, do you, like, you have complaints about the person, but then if you're still intimate with the person, then it's kind of like, okay, what are you really complaining about? Because you're with that person and you know that person, quote unquote, doesn't suit you, but you are still being intimate with that person. So what's the issue? If that person really isn't that great to you, or if that person, like, you feel like you could be doing better, then be by yourself and be better and do greater things that you want to do, instead of wasting your time and wasting the person's time. And I think sometimes people might even stay longer in relationships that they know aren't healthy, that they know are toxic, or that they just know is not a great fit, or them and the person are not compatible. They stay in it because they still need someone to be able to fulfill their sexual desire. So the fact of the matter is, a lot of times you might be complaining about a woman, but if you really take a long and hard look, you actually need her, or you need another, whatever female it is, whether you're in a relationship with her or not, you will need her to fulfill that desire because you have not mastered it yet. If you can be able to master that part of your, I want to say your mind and your body, because yes, it is part of your body, right? Obviously, but it's also a mental thing to be able to understand, this is something that I can control. Like, even though it's hard, but eventually, because I want it bad enough, just like, because some people might say, oh, well, it's part of my body, or, I should be able to express myself sexually, or, what is it there for? We're supposed to do this, we're supposed to do that. I don't really see myself saving myself. As a point of saving myself. We could make the same argument for money. Like, money is something that is supposed to be spent and used, but do people not save money? People do save money. You can save money, and you can be able to save that part of yourself until the appropriate time, until it makes sense. You don't just spend money when it doesn't make sense, hopefully, right? You want to be able to make calculated decisions about your money so that you can grow, so that your money will be able to grow, so that your financial health will be at the level that you want it to be. However, if you're just spending recklessly, if you're just, even physically, if you're intimately just spending yourself recklessly, then it will be hard for you to get to that place that you want to be. So I think it's important for men to understand that their decisions in the moment literally affect so many people and affect so many things in our communities. I mean, just think about, we know that we have a lot of single moms, right? And quote, unfortunately, for whatever reason, she was fine until she got pregnant. And then after she got pregnant, then you realize that she wasn't a good fit. But if those were things that you saw in the beginning, then maybe you shouldn't have been intimate with her to start with. And then that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we know how that devastates the child, how the children can even grow up to, they might battle with the spirit of rejection. They could battle with so many things, even from not having the father in the home. Even if you're present, but you're not in the home, even that makes a difference in a child's life. Or, even generations to come can be affected by the decision that you made to not control your body. So I think it's important for Black men to understand that not only we need them, and what they do is important, not only for their lives, but for all of us. So if it seems like we're putting pressure on them, it's because in order for a king to be able to rule, the king has to have a certain amount of self-control, right? In order for someone to be called a good king has to be someone that is responsible. A good king is someone that is a person of integrity. A good king is someone that has self-control, all those different things. So if we're looking at you to be a king, right? But then we see there are certain parts of you, and I would say that this is one of the biggest things when it comes to Black men in our community that really takes away from them being the best. And I'm saying that coming from the heart of a sister, not trying to bash anyone, not trying to belittle anyone, but if anything, just to let you know how important you are. Because I think, especially in the system that we live in, they want you to think that what you do is not important. You should just go ahead and have fun, do what you want to do, whatever. But they know how much it affects all of us. Okay? So I think it's important for you guys to know that we see you as kings. And again, you can't just have a name of a king. You have to have the qualities of king. The king has to be someone that is responsible. The king has to be someone that shows self-control, a person of integrity, all of those things. And it will be hard for you to even maintain some of the integrity or some of the integrity that you want for yourself if you don't have self-control, because you will be with certain people or find yourself in certain situations that don't really match who you are on the inside. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of times we do things that aren't really a reflection of who we are. So just because someone is, saying certain things, it doesn't mean that it's a reflection of who you are. I'm just saying that the choices that we make, if we have more self-control, the choices that we make will be able to match the values that we actually hold dear in our heart. However, if we don't have self-control, then we find ourselves in situations that are contrary to some of the values that we hold so dearly. Okay, so that's just something that was on my heart that I just wanted to share. I hope it blesses someone. Thank you.